Back at Dover, a lap away from the restart in the MBNA.com 200. Jimmy Spencer and Kevin Harvick making pit stops under the caution, but most of the other front runners staying put on the track. Harvick is going to be way back in the field. He has to drop to the end of the longest line for pitting before pit road was open.
Wow.
That's going to put him back about 33rd in line.
He's backing up as we speak.
All right, we're trying to decide what happened to Martin Truex here in that last caution, the third car that was involved.
No, I mean, we're not trying to figure anything out. We know what happened. He just come off the corner. He saw the smoke. See all the smoke there? And I don't blame him. Oh, look, what's going on? He jumps off the throttle, and the back end comes around.
Yeah, I agree. He ran up on that thing, and the spotter was probably screaming in his ear. He was not used to that, maybe here at Dover or whatever. I don't know. But I think he lost it way, way, way back before the wreck happened.
His car has been towed away, and he will become the 6th driver in the garage already in this thing. Randy LaJoie, Joe Nemechek, each with a little damage in that crash. Matt?
And Alan, Randy LaJoie did make 2 stops under this caution. The first stop, they dropped the track bar 1.5 rounds, and they tried to beat down the right front fender and also the hood because they had a lot of cosmetic damage. He came back again. They had to do a lot of tape as we go back to green.
Kevin Harvick is 32nd. Jimmy Spencer, after his pit stop, is only 12th in line.
Greg Biffle likes that outside move that Kevin Harvick did because he tried the same thing on the 18 car of Mike McLaughlin. Right up the lead, turn 3.
Newman is underneath Skinner.
Still there.
Back out in front.
And here comes McLaughlin, trying to take a look on the inside of Skinner. Mike Skinner's car does not look that good. It looks like, why in the world did he not pit and make changes to it? Whoa, oh, Mikey, Mike loose. Chase it, baby. That's skill.
Matt?
Well, Benny, under that caution, Gil Martin, the crew chief for Skinner, and Mike Skinner had a long conversation about what to do strategy-wise. He said his car was very free on entry, but good off. But they didn't want to pit this soon. They're hoping to save their tires and be on a little bit different pit cycle, tire-wise, than some of the other contenders. They feel like they're going to be better later in the race. So that's why they decided not to pit. They said they'd rather drop back to 4th or 5th than pit now.
All right, thanks, Matt. Lap 43 brought to you by STP.
But, you know, the tire issue isn't really a big deal here at Dover. Do you think it is? I mean,
I think the only issue is just trying to find the correct balance on these tires. I talked to some of the crew chiefs down there today in Raleigh, and they were telling me that it seems like this particular right side tire is one of the most difficult tires that Goodyear's brought to the racetracks to try to find that perfect setup. They keep going either side of perfect.
So what they're saying is they're chasing tires. Every time they change a set of tires, it may change the setup.
Exactly.
Okay.
Joe Nemechek damaged in that last crash, Liz.
Yeah, Joe Nemechek came in for his first pit stop. They gave him 4 tires, worked on the right front, did a little sheet metal work, sent him back out. He was still tight, still rubbing. They brought him back in, did some more sheet metal work up there, and he said the car is okay, but, you know, this is not what you want to see right now, Alan.
No, he's not having a lot of fun, that's for sure. Back in 33rd place.
And where it'll really show up, when you've got good tires on it, you can mask a lot of problems with the body. But believe me, when he starts running that fuel off and he does put some time in those tires, that car is going to be ill-handling.
Remember, this is the track where on May 15th, Joe Nemechek had a vicious crash testing this Busch Series team's car. Up in turn number 3, he slammed the wall hard after cutting down a right front tire and knocked him out of the driver's seat for 8 weeks.
Jimmy Spencer, the 1 car, trying to work his way back to the front. That is the battle for the 10th position, the 27 car of Jamie McMurray. I tell you what, Jimmy Spencer sitting there with 4 fresh tires in 10th spot. I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
Oh, close. Matt Kenseth tries to get by the 27 of McMurray.
This is 11th place. Harvick is trying to work his way through traffic. He's back in 30th spot, Matt.
He has climbed to 30th. I spoke with Todd Berry of Scoochie about what happened, why they pitted when the pit road was closed. He said basically, usually on the second time by, the pit road is normally open. So Kevin just assumed it would be open. Todd didn't tell him it was open because he was talking over what to do to the chassis with Bobby Hutchins, the team's lead engineer. And so all of a sudden, here comes the blue deuce on pit road. But how many times have we seen Harvick come from the back to the front? He's done it before. He's going to try to do it again today.
Well, if he makes it all the way to the front, it's going to be interesting, I'll tell you that. He goes by Shane Hall, takes a spot away, and moves up to the 28th spot. But I said 28th, I didn't say 8th.
Yeah. Harvick's in kind of a slump here. Last couple of races, he's actually finished outside the top 10. That hasn't happened often so far this season.
That's Blaze Alexander, the 08 car that he goes by. The 66 of Jeffrey Bodine, the next car.
Bodine stayed on the lead lap after his spin. He's in 26th place. This is third position we're looking at. McLaughlin in the 18 and Biffle in the 60. 50 laps of 200, a quarter of the distance complete in the MBNA.com 200. Here's the Wendy's race menu. What's coming up on TNT and NBC? Immediately following our Busch Series coverage, it's NASCAR Winston Cup final practice live from Dover. Tomorrow, the MBNA Cal Ripken Jr. 400 on NBC at 12:30 Eastern Time. And then our NASCAR at Night encore of the Dover race, Monday night, 1 a.m. Eastern and Pacific. Ryan Newman continues to lead the MBNA.com 200. He's pulled out 2 1/4 seconds on Mike Skinner. Greg Biffle is now running third, Kevin LePage fourth, and Jimmy Spencer is up to fifth, and Biffle getting third spot a minute ago was a little adventurous.
It sure was. As he came off turn 4, he gets on the inside. He gets on the inside of McLaughlin in the middle of the corner. Look at that car. That is what we call loose. That's almost as bad as our Williams virtual garage.
You're right, Benny. And he did a nice save with that, too.
Watch this as he comes. Yikes. Lost a lot of momentum because he had to jump out of the throttle to save the back. And not jump out of the throttle, ease out of the throttle to save the back.
And while he went by opening that inside lane, several others have gone by. McLaughlin, who's fallen all the way back to 8th place.
I cannot. This 02 car, Ryan Newman, the driver, the entire crew, they have been all year long with this automobile. They sit on poles, and right now, he's a couple miles per hour faster than anybody else out there. Marty?
Well, you know, Benny, they've been accused this year a lot of just being fast. Not very consistent, but just being fast. Sitting on poles, being good at the beginning of runs. So they came here to Dover and tested a couple of weeks ago with one thing in mind. Developing consistency. Being good on those long runs, which are always critical everywhere, but especially here at Dover because we have long green flag runs like we're having right now. And they feel like they found something to make them very good on those longer runs. And it's kind of showing right now. They didn't start out very fast in this run, but again, like we talked about earlier in the show, they've gotten better the longer they've run. Very key test for them a couple weeks ago right here at Dover.
And I'll tell you what, you know, I think this kid's come a long way, and I like him. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he has learned a lot since the first few races we've seen him. So he's going to be tough today, and everywhere he goes, this team is on top right now.
He didn't make a lot of friends the first few Busch Series races he drove. Remember back in February at Rockingham, he locked horns with Todd Bodine, and they got knocking each other around. But then lately, all of a sudden, his last 4 finishes have really come around. He's finished first, the win at Michigan, 8th, 4th, and 7th. Last 4 times out. Checking back, Spencer climbing through the field on those fresh tires.
A battle for the 3rd position. I like Spencer's chances right now.
He's inside there. He's inside. Still there. Clear right. Clear all around.
That's Jack Rouse just spotted for the 60 car, Greg Biffle.
Got the 49 slow on the bottom. About 4 cars up in front of you here. Just don't let him mix up with you and these other guys.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
Now that Jimmy Spencer shows what new tires and a great setup and a great car can do, Greg Biffle watches him go by because right now his car is very tight. I just checked with his crew, and they may go as far as putting a spring rubber in the right rear on the next pit stop to try to loosen that car up and let Greg continue to race for the win here.
Clear left, clear all around.
Matt Kenseth moving through Kevin LePage just behind them. That was 5th place, trading places. Kenseth started back in 20th.
If they're going to catch a 0-2 car of Ryan Newman, they better make wholesale changes when they make their first pit stop. They better put rubbers in, take rubbers out, and make wholesale changes because he's going somewhere.
And Spencer's certainly not only at an advantage because of the fresh tires on these cars, Benny, but the fact that he's also got 36 laps more fuel on board. We're at lap 66 now. Newman and the other guys are going to have to stop at another 30 laps if we don't have a caution.
We see Chad Little on the inside of 71. Dave, what are they saying in the 74 pits?
Well, Benny, he started 15th today, and he's worked his way up. A couple of cars did come in for pit stops, but the car's running pretty well. I just checked with his crew, and they say it's a little bit tight in the center, and they will make an air pressure adjustment to correct that situation on the next pit stop. Marty?
Well, Dave, about 15 laps ago, Mike McLaughlin was fighting for the 3rd spot, which he gave up to Greg Biffle. He has now fallen back all the way to the 8th position. He started a little loose in this run, but he has gotten extremely loose the longer they have gone on. Now, while he's unhappy with the chassis right now, he's very happy with the engine. This is the first ever Busch Series engine to come from Joe Gibbs Racing, the in-house engine program. He said he has more horsepower right now than he's had in a long time. Problem is he can't use it. Car's too loose.
Tell him to go talk to Jarrett and Rudd over on the Winston Cup side. Those Robert Yates engines, they've had that problem for years.
Trying to get the rear wheels hooked to the ground is a difficult problem on these cars. But once they do, then they start screaming, we need more horsepower.
McLaughlin right now running in 7th. LePage and Hamilton Jr. behind him. They're all trailing Ryan Newman, who leads at lap 69 of the MBNA.com 200.